You know the type. She bats her lashes, plays the sweet innocent card, and somehow always ends up tangled in someone else's relationship. Never hers, of course. She's not just the other woman she wants to be. She feeds off the drama, the pain, and the chaos she causes, then acts like you hurt her. Well, not this time. I watched her destroy people I cared about. And when she came sniffing around my life, I decided to play the long game. If she loves drama, fine, let me give her the lead role in a show she never forget. You ever notice how some people always linger at the edges of friend groups? Not quite in, not quite out, just there, watching, listening, waiting. That's how she was. We'll call her Danny. Danny didn't start drama at first. She was the type to hang back, laugh at everyone's jokes, and be so chill that you'd never suspect a thing. But then came the slow creep. She'd start with compliments, always too personal, always aimed at someone else's boyfriend. "You're so lucky," she'd purr to their girlfriends. "He's honestly so hot." She'd laugh like it was harmless, but the intent was never innocent. At first, no one caught on. She wasn't loud or flirty in the obvious way. She was stealthy, the kind who slid into DMs just to ask about his playlist, or texted at midnight because she needed advice from someone objective. There was always a reason, always an excuse. The first couple she wrecked were just chalked up to incompatibility. But then a pattern started to show. There was Kelsey and Marcus. Strong couple, together for 2 years. One night, after a party, Kelsey confided that Marcus had been distant. A week later, Donnie just happened to mention she and Marcus were getting really close because they both liked the same obscure band. Next thing we knew, Kelsey and Marcus were over, and Donnie was helping him through it. Fast forward a few weeks, she's posting stories of them at concerts. No tags, no faces. Just enough to be obvious without being direct. Then came Jordan and Lex. Jordan was everyone's favorite, smart, loyal, goofy in the best way. Lex was head over heels. That didn't stop Danny. She slid into Lex's life first. "Girl, if I had a guy like him, I'd never let go." It sounded sweet, supportive even. Until she started hanging out with Jordan one-on-one, supposedly for career advice. When Lex raised concerns, Danny cried, and said she felt bullied. She made Lex the villain for feeling threatened. Jordan didn't cheat outright, but he pulled away. Side Lex was jealous and paranoid. Classic. And who was there to comfort him?
Donnie again, it became a game.
The more unavailable a guy was, the more obsessed she became. Like the relationship itself was the challenge. She didn't want them once they were single, no. She wanted to win. To be the reason someone chose her over the person they'd been with for years. Her signature move was always the same. She'd weasel her way in by being everyone's friend. Harmless. Supportive, a shoulder to cry on. And then, once she had a foothold, she'd start undermining. "Do you really feel happy?" she'd ask. "You deserve someone who really sees you." And of course, she saw them. She always did. Then came the fallout. Every single time, the relationship would crumble. The friend group would fracture. People would take sides, and Danny? She'd cry about how hard it was for her. She'd tell anyone who would listen that she never meant for things to get messy, that she was just being there for a friend. But we all knew. Deep down, we all knew. Still, no one called her out. Not directly. She was too good at spinning the narrative. Too good at looking like the victim. Until she came for someone I cared about. I used to think I was immune. I'd watched Danny tear through other people's lives like a charming little hurricane, but I figured she wouldn't dare try me. I wasn't close with her. We weren't enemies, but we weren't tight either. She floated at the edges of our group, doing her thing. And I let her. That was my first mistake. It started small. My boyfriend Eli had always been friendly. Too friendly, maybe, but never disrespectful. So when Donnie suddenly started replying to his Instagram stories with fire emojis or those long, "Hello, you too funny" messages, I noticed, but brushed it off. I mean, who starts drama over an emoji? Then came the likes. Every photo of his, even the ones from years ago, the old selfies. The gym pics, the ones where I wasn't even tagged. She was mining his feed like a gold rush. I brought it up to Eli once lightly. "Donnie's all over your posts lately, huh?" He laughed it off. "She's just like that with everyone." But she wasn't. She never blew up single guys' socials like that, just the taken ones. Still, I stayed quiet. I didn't want to be that girl, jealous, insecure, dramatic. I told myself I was being paranoid. That's the thing about girls like Danny, they make you doubt your instincts. They weaponize your kindness, your desire to be the cool girlfriend. The real shift came when she started showing up in person more. She'd never really been part of our core hangouts. But suddenly she was at every game night, every bar crawl, every birthday, always claiming someone else invited her, always just there. And Eli, he didn't see it. She'd find ways to wedge herself next to him, laugh at all his dumb jokes, ask him questions that were way too personal for casual friends. What's your biggest regret? Have you ever been in love with someone and didn't know until it was too late? That kind of crap. Once at a house party, I watched her touch his arm mid-laugh and hold it just a second too long. I caught her eyes flick over to me like she was checking if I'd noticed. I had, but again I said nothing. Then came the D-miss. Eli showed me one, trying to be open. "Look what Danny sent me, lol," he said, chuckling. It was a screenshot of a meme that read, "When you flirt with someone just to prove you still got it," with the caption, "This reminded me of us." US. Eli brushed it off. "She's just joking. That's her humor." I smiled, bit my tongue, told him to leave it on read. He did, but she wasn't done. Later that week, she cornered me at a mutual friend's dinner. Sat down beside me way too close, wine glass in hand. "You're lucky, she said, her voice soft and syrupy. "Eli's a rare one. You must be doing something right to keep him interested." That part, it stuck with me. To keep him interested. She didn't say it as a compliment. She said it like a challenge. After that, the air around me changed. I started to feel watched, judged. Friends began asking strange questions. "Are you and Eli okay? You've been kind of quiet lately." Donnie was planting seeds, whispering, making me seem unstable, insecure, overreactive. And when I finally snapped at Eli for answering one of her texts at 11 p.m., he turned it back on me. "You're acting paranoid," he said. "She's just a friend." Why are you being so hostile? There it was, the classic flip. Suddenly, I was the villain, the possessive girlfriend, the jealous one. Donnie had done it again. She played her part perfectly, smiling sweetly in public, acting clueless in private. "I didn't mean to cause tension," she'd say, hand on heart. "I just think Eli's so funny. You guys are such a strong couple. I admire you so much." It was always fake flattery laced with poison. And the worst part, it was working. I could feel it. The wedge she was driving between us. The tension she was building while keeping her own hands clean. That's when I knew. If I didn't act soon, I'd be the next ex-girlfriend she collected like a trophy. But, unlike the others, I wasn't going to let her win. I didn't want to fight fire with fire. I wanted to burn down her whole playbook. It happened on a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic. Nothing explosive. Just one of those small, sharp moments that shatters everything. Eli left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. I wasn't snooping, I genuinely wasn't, but a notification popped up, and Danny's name lit the screen. I wish I could say I ignored it, that I was above it. I wasn't. The message read, "You were right. I can't stop thinking about Sunday night." Sunday night? We were together Sunday night, at his parents' house, watching old home videos and eating casserole like a couple straight out of suburbia. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. My blood ran cold. My stomach flipped. I sat down and realized this wasn't flirting anymore. This wasn't harmless. Something had happened. When Eli came out of the shower, I was calm, scarily calm. I handed him his phone and said, "Danny says hi," the way his face dropped. That was all the confirmation I needed. He fumbled for an excuse. Said she was just being dramatic and that nothing had happened. That she was probably referring to just a joke between them. But he couldn't look me in the eye. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I'd spent weeks second-guessing myself, gaslighting myself into silence, watching her destroy people's peace and walk away unscathed. I was done. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I told Eli we needed space, and he agreed too quickly. That stung more than I expected, but I pushed it down. Instead, I started doing what Danny never expected me to do. I got smart. I started talking quietly, strategically. First to Kelsey, the first girl Danny had screwed over. I asked questions. Got details. Then to Lex, who still wasn't quite over the mess Danny made. Both of them had stories, screenshots, receipts. Late-night texts, emotional manipulation, fake tears. It was all the same story, just with different names and timestamps. I created a group chat, just the three of us. We compared notes. We mapped out timelines. We connected dots. Donnie wasn't just a flirt, she was a calculated saboteur. I started calling it the Danny playbook. We even laughed a little, swapping screenshots like war stories. It felt good not to be alone, not to be crazy. And most importantly, not to be silent anymore. But I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was preparing for war. Every time Danny posted something cryptic, I knew exactly who she was targeting. I started screenshotting those too. I saved voice notes, screen recordings of her deleting comments, the passive-aggressive captions, the way she always positioned herself as accidentally caught in drama. Then I turned to the rest of the friend group. I didn't blast her. I didn't start a witch hunt. I just told the truth. One-on-one. Casual coffee dates. Deep chats after drinks. I'd say, hey, I know this is random, but have you ever noticed how Danny always gets close to taking guys? I didn't accuse, I invited reflection. And slowly the tide began to turn. People remembered things. Comments she made that didn't sit right. Moments they brushed off. They started to notice the pattern too. It was like I handed them a pair of glasses, and suddenly Danny was in focus. The shift was quiet at first. People stopped inviting her to everything. The group chat went silent when she spoke. Her Instagram likes started to dwindle. She noticed, you could tell. Then came the whispers. Someone finally asked her, why are you always so close with people in relationships? She laughed, of course, played it off. What, I'm not allowed to have friends. But the usual sympathy wasn't there, just awkward silence. Lex bumped into her at a party and said sweetly, funny how you always end up in the middle of breakups. Coincidence, right? Danny didn't laugh. She left early that night. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet, kept watching, kept collecting. Eli, to his credit, tried to apologize. Said he realized too late what was happening. That he got played. I didn't tell him about Sunday night. I didn't need to.
He was already unraveling, seeing Donnie's true colors for the first time. You were right, he said one day. She thrives on chaos.
Yeah, I knew. I wasn't trying to ruin Danny's life. I wasn't interested in public humiliation. What I wanted was deeper. More surgical. I wanted her seen. Truly seen. For the first time. I wanted people to look at her and recognize the threat, the mask, the manipulation, and it was working. No more benefit of the doubt. No more sympathy. No more. That's just Danny. She was no longer the sweet outsider. She was the common denominator. And soon she'd be the outcast. Danny had no idea what was coming. After weeks of quiet groundwork screenshots, whispered truths, and slow social shifts, it was time to move from defense to offense. Not with fire and fury, but with something much more calculated, the perfect trap, dressed up as a party. I called it the reset, a chill get-together to clear the air, after the tension in the group had become too thick to ignore. I pitched it as a reunion of sorts, old friends, new beginnings, low-key vibes. Everyone was invited, including Danny, especially Danny. What she didn't know was that every person in the room that night had a story about her. Some were already suspicious. Some had been burned. And a few were still naive, but open to listening. This wasn't an ambush. It was an unveiling. I hosted it at my place. Cozy, intimate, nothing flashy. Music low, drinks flowing, a vibe that encouraged vulnerability. I wanted people relaxed. I wanted Danny off balance. And I had help. Lex, Kelsey, and I worked the room like clockwork. Before Danny even arrived, we debriefed a few key people, shared enough context to prime them without making it seem like gossip. The goal wasn't to turn everyone against her. It was to let her reveal herself, in real time. She showed up late, of course. Dramatically so. Cropped top, fake smile energy, hugging people like she hadn't been dodging texts for weeks. And right away, she clocked the shift. People greeted her, sure, but not with the usual warmth. No squeals, no, "Oh my god, girl." Just polite smiles and side eyes. Lex and Kelsey stayed icy civil. Donnie noticed. She made her rounds, tested the waters. I watched her try to flirt with a guy she once DM'd behind someone else's back. He pulled away mid-laugh, eyes flicking toward his girlfriend, who wrapped an arm around him like a silent warning. Strike one. Then came phase 2, the setup. I'd planted a conversation in the kitchen, me, 2 friends, and my buddy Chris. Tall, charming, and completely in on it. He was the bait. We were laughing about dating horror stories when Danny slinked in, drink in hand, pretending to look for snacks. "Oh hey, didn't know you were here," she said to Chris, turning on the sparkle. He smiled, smooth as butter. "Yeah, I've heard a lot about you, actually." Her eyes lit up. She leaned in. "All good things, I hope," he grinned. "That depends on how much you like the truth," she blinked. Uncomfortable laugh. "I'm not sure what that means," he tilted his head, casual but loaded. "Just that your name comes up a lot. When people talk about relationship drama," boom, she froze, just for a second. Then the mask snapped back on. "Wow, okay. Not sure what I've done to deserve that reputation." Before she could spin it further, Lex walked in and said flatly, "Maybe stop doing the things that earn it." The air crackled. Danny tried to laugh it off, but her eyes darted around. No one was jumping in to save her. No one offered their usual defense. She was alone. Strike 2. Then came the kill shot. I gathered everyone in the living room for a dumb little game. Group confessions. You write something wild you've experienced or witnessed on a slip of paper, toss it in a bowl, and we read them aloud and guess who wrote it. Innocent enough. Except the confessions had been planted. Mixed in with real ones were a few curated truths from the Danny playbook. I once flirted with a friend's boyfriend until she broke up with him, then acted shocked when people were mad. I told someone's boyfriend she deserved better just to see if he did cheat. I played the victim after ruining a relationship, and people actually felt bad for me. As each one was read aloud, the room got quieter. People squirmed, laughed nervously. Looked around and Donnie? She looked panicked, red in the face, arms crossed. Jaw tight, she tried to joke. "Yikes, sounds like someone's projecting." But her voice cracked, and the best part? She contradicted herself. When someone jokingly said, "Okay, but if this isn't you, Danny, it's your evil twin," she snapped back. "I've never done anything like that." But 5 minutes later, in a smaller circle, trying to do damage control, she admitted to one of the scenarios, brushing it off as a misunderstanding. Strike 3. Now her stories didn't match. The walls were closing in. People started asking each other questions, remembering things. Whispering, I didn't even have to say much. I just watched the realization spread like wildfire. She left early. No hugs, no goodbyes, just a stiff smile and a mumbled excuse about feeling off. Once she was gone, the room exhaled. Someone muttered, "I knew something was off about her." Another said, "I feel so dumb for defending her." I didn't gloat, I just nodded. It's not about hate, it's about clarity. Because that was the point. Not to humiliate her, not to destroy her life, but to remove the mask. To show people who she really was, using her own behavior as the mirror. And the best part? She did it to herself. After that night, Danny's empire of illusion started crumbling, and fast. At first, she pretended nothing had changed. Business as usual. Selfies with half-hearted captions. Flirty comments under random posts. Passive-aggressive quotes about fake friends and jealous energy. But the difference? No one was liking them anymore. You could feel the chill in the air. Invites stopped going out to her. Events that used to include her by default suddenly became tight groups only. She'd find out about brunches after they happened, see the posts, and drop a sad little comment. Would have loved to come. No replies. Danny wasn't being attacked, she was being ignored. And for someone who thrived on attention, being ignored was worse than confrontation. She started reaching out one by one, trying to patch things up, messaging people she hadn't spoken to in weeks, spinning her usual stories. I don't know what I did wrong. Everyone's acting weird. It's like someone's turning people against me, but the magic was gone. This time, No one was buying it. See, once the mask slips and people really see you, there's no putting it back on. And Danny, she'd shown her whole hand without even realizing it. The guy she used to have wrapped around her finger? Gone. There was one in particular, Ryan. A newer guy in the circle she'd been circling like a vulture. He was smart, kind, and, most importantly, already wary of her thanks to quiet warnings from a few of us. She tried all the usual tricks with him. Late night dismiss, laughing too hard at his jokes. Fake vulnerability about how people always misunderstand her. At first, Ryan played along, polite, friendly, but he never gave her more than surface-level attention. Then one day, he just stopped replying altogether. Left her on read, every single time, and when she tried to corner him in person pull the old, "Can we talk?" move, he shut it down. "Honestly, I think it's better we keep things distant," he said. "There's been too much. Drama. Boom. Ice cold." Then came the real blow. Another guy she had history with, Jake, finally snapped. He'd kept quiet for months after their thing fizzled out. But with the shift in energy, the silence broke. He posted a long, brutally honest story about emotional manipulation. No names, but everyone knew who he was talking about. He talked about someone who used vulnerability as bait, who made him feel like he was the only one, until he realized she was saying the same things to 3 other guys. He said he was tired of watching good people get torn apart by someone who pretended to be a victim while orchestrating the chaos. It hit like a bomb. People messaged me about it. Was that about Danny?
Is this real? Damn, this explains so much.
I didn't confirm or deny. I didn't need to. Donnie's reputation was doing the work on its own. She tried, of course, to save face. She posted teary-eyed selfies with captions like, "Some people will believe anything they hear." When you finally outgrow a toxic friend group, God protects your peace. No one bit. She even tried the pity party route, hinting at therapy, vague posts about healing, even a few stories that sounded suspiciously like threats disguised as boundaries. "If you still talking about me, you're obsessed. Heal, babe." But this time, silence followed. Even the girls who used to eat up her drama, who loved watching it unfold from the sidelines, they were over it. One of them told me, "It's not even fun anymore. She's just messy." And messy wasn't cute anymore. Donnie's social capital dried up like a puddle in the sun. She wasn't banned. No one exiled her. She just stopped being relevant. And in a world where relevance was her currency, she went broke fast. She tried to cling to new circles, people who didn't know her history. But even there, the whispers followed. Someone would know someone who knew the story. And they'd warn others, "Be careful, she's got a track record." Her name became a cautionary tale. She DM'd Lex one night out of nowhere. A wall of text. Begging for forgiveness, then blaming her for turning people against her. Lex didn't even read it, just blocked her. Kelsey did the same when she tried the "we were always cool, right?" tactic, and me? I didn't block her, I let her watched as I moved on. Surrounded by people who respected me, rebuilt my peace. Glowed up, grew up, and never mentioned her again. Because the final blow wasn't anything I said or did, it was the silence. She craved chaos, needed to be in the middle of it all. So I gave her the worst thing possible, oblivion. Life got really quiet after Danny faded out, and that was the best part. No more second-guessing every conversation. No more tension in group chats. No more pretending someone's shady behavior was just quirky or misunderstood. It was like a collective fog had lifted. For the first time in a long time, the group actually felt like a group again. We didn't need a formal sit-down to talk about what happened. We didn't need to name names. Everyone just knew. Donnie had become that girl, the one no one took seriously anymore. The one whose name came up with a sigh or an eye roll, not with sympathy or concern. She still popped up sometimes. On social media mostly. Posting photos with new people, trying to rebuild her image in other circles. But even those felt forced. People could feel it now, the manipulation, the act. It was like once the illusion broke, you couldn't unsee it. And she knew it too. The power she once had, the ability to walk into any room and turn heads, to manipulate conversations, twist narratives, make people question their instincts, it was gone. Because now she couldn't control the story. We did that. Not with rumors, not with drama, just with truth. With calm, deliberate exposure. With boundaries that didn't bend to fake tears or flirty distractions. And that truth. It traveled quietly, steadily, and it stuck. I watched as our friend group grew stronger. We learned to call things out early. We supported each other better. We listened when someone raised a concern instead of gaslighting them into silence. We even joked about starting a no Danny energy rule when someone brought a new person into the mix. Everyone laughed, but we meant it. Eli and I didn't get back together. That ship had sailed, and I was okay with it. What mattered more was that he saw it too. That look in his eyes when the truth finally clicked. That was enough closure for me. And me, I got my peace back. But more than that, I got my power back. Not the kind Danny craved. Not the performative kind that thrives on attention and chaos. I found the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need to scream to be heard. The kind that lets you sleep at night knowing you didn't T-stoop to someone else's level, but still made sure they never hurt anyone the same way again. I don't need to say her name. I don't need to drag her through the mud. She did that all on her own, and now, she's just another cautionary tale. And I'm the one who made sure her story stopped repeating. The best revenge? Letting her drown in the silence she used to fill with chaos. I never raised my voice, never went for cheap shots. I just let the truth speak louder than her lies. And now, every time she walks into a room, people remember not what I said, but what she did. She wanted attention. Now she's got it, but not the kind she craved. And me, I'm free. Drama-free, chaos-free, and finally surrounded by people who know the value of trust. Don't get mad, just get strategic.